everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. So this is actually a book that I got on sale through Chirp, and I kind of just went, and it was one that I'd seen before. I'd kind of heard a little bit about it and I was interested in it. Turns out the book that I thought I was purchasing was actually Jojo Moyes' The Giver of Stars, which is also about the same subject in a way. I wasn't disappointed though. I actually really enjoyed this book. I believe I gave this one, I think I may have given it 3 stars, but I think I'm going to go back and change it to 4 because it's one that actually kind of stuck with me a little bit more and gave me a lot to research. It gave me a lot to think about. But anyway, so this book is about it's kind of about a few different things. It's about the Pack Horse Project that FDR created, and I'll explain what that is a little bit later, and about the Blue Fugate clan of Kentucky, and I'll also go into that a little bit later. So this book follows Cassie Mary, and it's a family name because she is part of a line of her great-great-grandfather, or great-great-great-grandfather, something like that. Anyway, he was French, and he came, so she essentially was named after a town in France. So she is a lady in Kentucky, in the backwoods of Kentucky, and as a single lady, you can work for the Pack Horse Librarian Project. And what it is these librarians in rural areas or difficult to get to areas would basically go once a month and get all these books for these people and then distribute them out in their normal area. And like I said, it was difficult to get to. It was a way that some people had access to literature and reading, and in ways that otherwise they would have no access to whatsoever. And some people didn't even read. Some people just wanted to be read to or looked at the pictures, but it was kind of the only thing they had as far as literacy goes. So anyway, it's kind of her story as she lives through Kentucky. And so it's her and her father. He's a coal miner, and her mother died when she was very young. And so it's just them together, and he is constantly trying to have the best life for her the way that any good father does. And there's one kind of big thing about them. Her and her father are blue, and I literally mean blue skinned. So when I talk about the Blue Fugate clan of Kentucky, it is because there was a gentleman named, I think, Martin Fugate, who came from France, who happened to have this recessive gene. And he ended up finding a lady in Kentucky who was of no relation whatsoever, but happened to have the same recessive gene. And it basically resulted in this blood condition that turned the skin blue and the blood chocolate brown, like chocolate, like the thickness of chocolate. And basically through the book, you end up finding out that it is a curable condition, and they found out that it was kind of genetically based. And that's why it resulted in Cassie Mary. She actually was one of the last known ones at the time that this book is taking place. So she was subjected to, tests. This book, I will say, this book had several triggers for so many things. It was actually to the point, it starts out, I don't know that I can necessarily say difficult because it gets past things really quickly, but it definitely paints a picture of how difficult this poor girl's life was. And I imagine it was a fairly realistic picture of what people would have had to deal with at that time, and in having that people viewed as a defect or a malformation or something. I mean, she was referred to in ways as a colored, but she was treated in ways as even less than anything, less than human, I would say. So there are things in this book that were really difficult to read. At first, I almost actually set it down because it kind of hits you with it right in the face. But the main character is amazing, and she perseveres through all of these things, and it makes it, you really root for her. You feel bad for her. She literally just wants literacy for her area. The entire book is just her trying to be the best person she can be for the people that are in her community. And it's just so wonderful, and the heart in the book is amazing. These people don't treat her nicely. Some people do. She does have some friends, but ultimately as a whole, the general population doesn't particularly treat her well. And it's just kind of her and her dad looking out for themselves as they try and kind of get by through this world. So parts of it, like I said, were difficult to read, but she perseveres so amazingly, and it's just really nice to read. There are some things that deal with children that aren't, that are just some realities of life, I imagine, at the time, but just that there are some things with that are difficult to read in this book. Nothing was used for shock value, I felt. Everything seemed like it was very, almost sadly commonplace for the time and era, and, I mean, just aggressive rurality of it. Apparently, also, I found out Troublesome Creek is a real place. All of these things were just, for me, as I was reading the book, they just kind of felt fantastical. It felt like it had a very magical realism sort of aspect, but turns out no, all these things were less magical, more real. Some of the things are really sad about it, like the way that they find out that it is a genetic blood disorder is that they have to take this girl and do tests on her. And no part of that, the way that she was treated or the way that she was just treated like a lab rat, so to speak, were just good or nice or easy to hear. But it made for really good reading. I mean, really good reading. It wasn't a very long book. The characters were fleshed out really well. If you're actually reading this one, I heard this one in audiobook because, like I said, I had a deal. But if you are reading this one, it is a heavily accented text. And what I mean by that is they speak in a certain way for the dialect of their time. That for me, I was listening to it, so I didn't find it to be an impediment. But if that's something you're reading, I can see that being something that's a little bit more difficult to get through. It wasn't a difficult book by any means, though. It was like, yeah, no, it was really enjoyable. So for me, it was 4 stars, and it was the Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. Anyway, let me know what you think if you guys have read this, or if anyone's read the book by Jojo Moyes. Let me know, because maybe I might want to read that also and see how they compare, or I actually kind of don't think they have too much to do with each other aside of just the Packhorse Librarian project, and just, bad timing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe good timing. Who knows? But if anyone has read that and thinks it's amazing and I should check that out also, please let me know. I would love to talk to you guys about it. All right. Thanks for joining me today. See you guys next time.